So my son can't attend the day program during New South Wales lockdown. He is suffering with his mental health now. Can I use his plan to find a psychologist for telehealth appointments? He doesn't have psychology included in the plan. It's occupational therapy. And she just said, she had actually put a call into her LAC, but she was awaiting an answer. So she decided to jump on and ask your thoughts, Carolyn.
Yep. Look, and this is a really important question. Okay. You may not like the answer I'm about to say, but it's a really important question. So we know that, okay, day programs are shut down. The providers are being encouraged to either set up some online things or wear essential one-to-one. That information is, I'm going to say it's the NDIS Commission website, but we can check that.
All right. Information. Perhaps I could share that in the resources for everyone, because I'm going to send out a replay, a replay version by email, so we can perhaps follow that up. And I'll just make a note of that now. To
be able to do that. So there are some specific guidelines around alternatives that day programs are able to implement and are encouraged to be able to do, particularly in situations like this where that change of routine is having a negative impact.
Okay.
There are a couple of easy read, easy understand resources available through, and again, I'll give you the information for those ones around, I guess, what lockdown is and sort of how that works as well, just to help with that understanding that it is a point in time, a temporary, which again, if time's not an easily understood concept, is only of limited help through that. But in terms of using the psychology funding where it's been put in as an OT, typically I would say like a solid no to that. So the OT put in there for a purpose, you actually want to be able to do that by the end of it. And again, the federal government has a lot of information and resources and funding that they've put towards mental health through COVID, actually using some of those mainstream support.
Is that Medicare? I wonder if it doubled, remember, from 10 sessions to 20 sessions under just a general mental health care plan. Are those the types of provisions that you're talking about that are there specifically for COVID?
Yeah, so there's that one. There's additional funding being put through to your lifelines, your kids' helplines. And those types of resources. They've opened, so that Medicare funding is now opened up to include, actually includes OTs as part of that. So where people need so different supports to be able to navigate through. So a mental health OT can sometimes be useful if it's a structure that's required due to a change of thing. But again, that mainstream do that through there. And and so that's probably the best place to start.
Okay.
If you then find that you can't navigate those, you can't access those. And I know several people with disability who have utilised your lifelines, your kids' helplines and those types of things. Once you've got through that initial navigation point, they've been good. So doing a blanket, they're no good with people just isn't fair. There may be complexities. There may be some that is challenging that they can't do. Not saying that they can cater for everybody, but they certainly do their best to be able to give that extra time that's required or whatever that is to be able to do that. So,
and do you mind if I just play choice and control advocate here? What about if a family says, you know what, Carolyn, that all sounds wonderful, but I know what's really the real risks here in my family right now in our situation, and I haven't got time to go and figure that out. I'm just going to use NDIS. And they get to the planning meeting. For review, natural review, whenever that is and whatever situation it is, and however much of that breakdown they've spent on psychology addressing the situation here versus the OT. What are some of the risks to the family? What are some of the reasons that you say that's not?
Look, one of the bigger ones is that where they've funded a particular allied health professional and you haven't realised that, you've demonstrated that what the agency has deemed as reasonable and necessary, you don't value and you don't need. And so the chances of getting that funding, particularly if you're using ongoing funding, is not essential. So you may see a cut in that in the future.
Yeah.
They'll wrap you over the knuckles. They'll tell you that you shouldn't have done that. They'll psychology is not part of NDIS, You'll get all of those things told to you. We have seen instances where a delegate has said that a particular funding has been used what they deemed inappropriately, and the ability to self-manage has been removed from people because of that.
Yeah.
So there's potential things. You can always, if you have purchased something you believe it meets all of the criteria, and a delegate tells you that it hasn't, and they either and ultimately they tell you that it needs to be repaid, because they can tell you that that's not the case, and there's a couple of things they can do. So remove self-management, not fund something. They go through a normal review process. If they tell you that something needs to be repaid as part of that, that is a reviewable decision. So you can still take that through.
Good to know. Yeah, I don't like seeing that on Facebook, that phrase, you'll be made to repay it, just thrown around with no context. I think it's just it invokes such fear and such more confusion, really, to uncertainty.
And it is something, so it is something that they can do, but you can review that decision, which includes through to the tribunal. If it gets upheld, you can actually also ask for that fee to be waived, essentially. So again, that's another sort of process through. So if you back yourself to the point that you're prepared to go through those, then
go ahead. Yeah. No, I think it's really important. I think it's really important to talk about these things in scenario and then sort of step it out and then go, well, down the track, what may not, but we may find ourselves in that situation. So
reduced funding, requested to pay it back, and or restrictions on how flexible your funding is in the future are the likely scenarios. And this is one that I wouldn't fall under fraud. There becomes that line, obviously. Quite different.
Absolutely.
I don't think they're likely to land that one there. So
okay. All right. Thank you for that.